Hey everyone, my name is Nick, and today I brought along a special friend to help me with this video named Roborock.
Please put the vacuum down and start it.
She has a little bit of an attitude, please forgive her. Because today we'll be talking about the board game Quirky Circuits. Published by Plaid Hat Games in 2019, designed by Rachel Valens with artwork by Danilyn Reyes. This is a 2 to 4 player board game that's cooperative, takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play for each scenario, and the box lists ages 8 and up. And in this game, players are collectively working together to program a robot to complete a certain objective depending on the scenario. This game uses very similar programming mechanics to games such as Mechs vs. Minions or Robo Rally, if you're familiar with those games. The caveat in this game is when you're playing a card to program the robot, you're playing it face down, and there's no talking or communication of any kind allowed in this board game. So each player doesn't know exactly what the other player is programming the robot to do, but everyone has to at least contribute one programming card to that round. So there is a chance that this robot may not do exactly what it is you need it to do, which makes the game, of course, a lot of fun. With that said, the game also uses a scenario notebook. So typically, when you're playing a board game, you have a board that you're playing with. But in this game, there's actually no board. Each scenario actually comes in this notebook, and I think there's 24 total scenarios that come with the game. So this component, or a system, I should say, I think was first introduced to the board gaming hobby with the Stuffed Fables board game, also by Plaid Hat Games, and now I think adopted by other companies. At least I think the new Jaws of the Lion Gloomhaven game also uses this notebook scenario book system, which is pretty convenient in my mind. So without further ado, first let me explain how this game works, and then I'll wrap up with my final thoughts. So here I have the first scenario of Quirky Circuits ready to go. Setup is quite simple in this game. You turn to the page of the scenario book that you want to play, and this is, again, the first scenario. On the scenario page itself, there might be a few icons that you're supposed to place tokens on. So that's, for example, the token or icon for the dust bunny. So you place out the tokens that you need to for the scenario. There's then the start space for the robot that you're playing with. In this case, it's Gizmo, which it tells you, in the rules, which robot to choose, and you're ready to go. The only other thing that's left is dealing out the starting, your starting hand of cards, command cards, and the number of command cards you get is dictated by the number of players you're playing with. So in this game, we'll say we're playing a 2-player game, so each player will get 5 cards. Otherwise, you're normally getting 4 cards. All right. Now, the backs of each card will have 2 types of symbols. These arrows, which mean the card is a forward or backward movement card. And then these, well, I guess these are arrows too, but the left or right arrow, which means the card's some kind of turning card. So in this case, it's a turn right card. Each robot's going to have a different deck assortment of turn and movement cards. So in the case of Gizmo here, it tells us exactly how many 1 arrow, 2 arrow, 3 arrow forward movement cards it has. It has 2 backward 1 cards. It has 1 turn left card, 3 turn right cards, and 2 180 degree turn cards. And so that, of course, helps players determine the likelihood of what a card is going to do. So, for example, this card, statistically speaking, is more likely to be a turn right, then 180 degree, then turn left card. And it is a turn right card. So statistically, it should be a turn right card, and that's what it was. Now, of course, as you play cards, you will know some of the cards are no longer even in the round. At the end of every round, all the cards that get played get shuffled to the bottom of the deck. So, for example, if on this round we were to play the turn left card, it would then get shuffled at the end of the round into the bottom of the deck. You now know, all players would know, this turn left card is not even possible to be played. So there is an element of card counting, if you will, in this game to help strategize what cards to play. Or you could kind of ignore that aspect of the game completely and just try to have fun and not think about it. I think both ways of playing the game are totally fine. But the game gives you that information for a reason if you choose to use it. So now that each player has their full hand of cards, you're able to, look secretly yourself at the cards you have. There actually is no specific rule in the game that determines who goes first. The rules pretty much say players just take turns playing cards, and every player has to at least play one card, and in total you have to play at least 5 cards. Well, if I'm the player with this hand, I'll probably immediately go because I for sure want to get this move 3 forward on the table, since that would automatically get us 3 dust bunnies right off the bat. So I would play that face down, and the rules allow you to play more than one card at a time if you want. So if I had the turn left card, I'd probably play that next. But what's interesting here is this turn forward card would turn into a turn left. And that's because if Gizmo's ever to collide with an obstacle or barrier, it halts its movement and rotates left. So since at this point the robot would be, Gizmo would be right up in front of that, or the wall would be right in front of it, by playing a forward card, it's going to force Gizmo to turn left. So I'll use that to my advantage and play this forward card secretly again. So my partner has no idea what I'm doing, but we just have to hope it works out in the end. And then let's go a step further. Now, since Gizmo would be left and ready to move down to get those 2 dust bunnies, I'll play this 2 forward card. And at this point, neither this 180 degree card or turn right card really benefit Gizmo at this point. So I will put my cards down for now to kind of signify, okay, partner, your turn. Well, it's a little hard to play this game solo, which is why the game is 2 to 4 players. So you have to pretend we have absolutely no idea what our partner just played, except the fact that we know that our partner was only playing moving forward or backward cards because of the back of the card. So again, looking at Gizmo's sheet, there's 5 move forward 1 cards, 2 move forward 2 cards, 1 move forward 3 cards, and 2 move backward 2 cards. And that's what these cards could be. I would have to be a little confused how, what exactly was going on. Let's just assume we thought our partner played 3 move forward 1 cards. So we think then Gizmo is now right here after our partner played their cards. We're going to think, okay, well, we need to move Gizmo to the left and down, right? So thankfully, we have that turn left card. So we're going to say, we're going to move Gizmo to the left. And now we're going to move Gizmo forward 2 spaces because we're going to collect those 2 dust bunnies that we think we're now going to be able to get after. And then we'll also say, okay, there's nothing really we can do either at this point that's beneficial to Gizmo. So we're going to say we're done too. And at this point, both players, per the rules, can put both hands on the table to say they feel they're done with the round. At this point, we move on to what's called the execute phase. And we start flipping the cards over from left to right and moving Gizmo accordingly. So the first card was that move 3 card. So Gizmo gets to go 1, 2, 3, and yay, we've collected 3 dust bunnies. And I didn't make clear, the goal of the objective is always explicitly listed on the scenario explanation page. So here, as it says, clean up all the dust bunnies with Gizmo and return it to the aerospace before its battery reaches 0. All right. So we did the first card, command card. Let's move on to the second one. And it's a move forward 1, which I explained that because of the rule on Gizmo's character token card, it turns left. So we move Gizmo like that. And at this point, the partner's like, probably, putting their hand on their forehead and realizing that they misinterpreted what the first player did. But that's the fun of the game. So now Gizmo moves forward 2 spaces to get these 2 dust bunnies. So a lot of dust bunnies still were removed, which is great. But let's now move on to the next player and see what happens. So that player did, I'm going to move, turn left, move forward. So because it can't move forward because of the obstacle here, it in fact will turn left again, based on the fact that's what this card tells us. Moves left if it collides with an obstacle or barrier. And then we resolve the last card, which is a move forward. So the irony of this game too is sometimes if you play cards thinking your partner did one thing, it could still work out in the end, even if your partner did something completely different. Which in this case, I think it kind of did, because now Gizmo is ready to turn right and go after that dust bunny in the next round. So now that we are done with the execute phase, we would take all the cards, all the command cards that were played that turn, you shuffle them, and this is where the card counting kind of comes into play. So for example, the 3 forward movement card was played this round. So we know that's going to be in the bottom of the command deck. And now we give each player a full hand of 5 cards. So 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. And we move the battery marker down 1. And we again can begin the next programming phase. So with that said, now that I kind of explained how this game works, I'm going to move on to my final thoughts. So what did I think of this board game? Well, I think I made it quite clear that I really do enjoy this board game for a variety of reasons. First, I just love the simplicity of the game. It's very easy to get into, and I mean that in a variety of ways. First, the setup time is very minimal. Because you're using the scenario book that already basically has the terrain tiles, listed in or integrated into the map itself, there's not a lot of terrain tiles that you have to place on the board. And who enjoys placing out 50 terrain tiles just to play a board game? I don't think anyone actually enjoys that activity. So that makes the game very easy to get into. Yes, you have a few tokens that you have to add, like the dust bunnies, but that takes literally no more than a minute of time. So setup is easy to get into. But in addition to just the setting up the map, the rules are very simple to explain to any new player. And in fact, I think you could literally set up a scenario and start playing right away. And players really don't need any background in understanding the rules, because rules are very simple. You play a card to teach the robot or tell the robot to do something that you want it to do. And the objectives are usually pretty self-explanatory. You're collecting dust bunnies, like, okay. So yeah, of course, there might be a couple things you needed to explain to players before you start actually playing the game, but again, that explanation probably is only going to take 5 minutes max. So to get into this game, it's very simple and very quick. Also, playing the game itself is very simple and quick. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play, as the box says, which allows you to play multiple scenarios in one sitting of the game. But at the same time, if you only have time for a quick scenario, let's say you're on your break at work or something like that, and you just want to knock out a quick scenario of Quirky Circuits, you have the ability to do that with this game. I also really like the theming of the game. It's very fun, colorful, and I think caters to a wide range of audience. And that goes back to my first point and something that I also want to make clear. This game, I think, based on the theme, kind of does seem more kid-friendly, but by no means is this a kid's game. I would say that adults can enjoy this game. And what's more, I think it's great for families. So if you're looking for a great family game, I don't think you can do a lot better than Quirky Circuits. And if you have kids of varying ages, this probably is a game that actually can be fun for all those kids. So if you have like a 5 and 6-year-old, but also a 12 and 15-year-old, for example, I think the way this game plays is fun for all age groups, which is great. And there's not many games that I think are well done and fun that achieve that ability to cater to a wide range of ages. But ultimately, is it a fun game to play? And I would say yes, it's fun. Because you don't have a huge amount of setup time, and because the rules are pretty simple to understand, that helps the game, be fun. But the idea of not knowing exactly what other players are doing in the round, creates this kind of excitement and anxiety for when you're finally actually flipping the cards over to see what everyone is doing and seeing if your suspicions were correct, that, your partner was going to play the forward card, but then they actually played a backward card, and you're like, oh, how, and it completely throws off that round. That's a lot of fun. Things that I guess I didn't like so much about this game, there really isn't anything specific. The only thing that I want to mention is in the rules, it does say that if players ever feel compelled to communicate to each other, we recommend beep boop. Now, of course, that's said kind of in jest, but there is also some seriousness to that rule. It's saying, like, if you really want to say, like, don't play that card, say beep boop, okay? But there's also kind of a gray area there. When do you get to say beep boop? When is an appropriate time? It's a very, very minor comment, and I don't think in any means detracts from the game. And I think it was purposely vague because the designers want to give that ability to play groups to make this game simpler and easier if that's necessary. So if you are playing, let's say, with only children that are having a little bit of difficulty strategizing and understanding when to play certain cards and whatnot, they have this beep boop rule that, then make it a little more fun for those kids to play, because you can say beep boop if a kid's playing a turn card when they should be playing a forward or directional card, forward or backward direction card instead. For example, that's built into the rule book, but the only thing that I guess I would like to have seen instead, because I like the spirit of trying to make the game, having a system in the game to allow players to get help, is maybe a help token system where, let's say you feel you're stuck, you can spend a help token where you now get to flip the last card played over to see what it was, to help that, next player play a card that would work well. And maybe you could then have a difficulty system based around these help tokens. So a hard, playing the game on hard difficulty means no help tokens. Easy difficulty maybe means 3 help tokens. And then that eliminates this kind of gray area of the beep boop word. But I really don't want to, focus on that at all. There's so many great things about this game that make it an enjoyable experience. So with that said, if you are in the hunt for a great family weight game that kids and adults can both enjoy as much as each other, then definitely check out Quirky Circuits, because I really think you won't be disappointed. So with that said, thanks for watching this video, guys. Hope to see you again soon.